Cappadocia, a region in central Turkey, best known for its hot air balloons and impressive rock formations. From the towering fairy chimneys to the ancient underground cities, there is so much history to explore.
In this video, we're going to share with you everything you need to know before visiting Cappadocia.
So we are going to cover how to get here, the best sites that you want to see while you're here, the top places to stay,
and the best time of year to show up, because there are different times of year you should be here, and we're going to let you know what time of year that is.
Now, how are you going to get here? So you have a couple options when you're coming. The first option you can do if you are coming, say, from Istanbul or say from the coast, is you can take a bus. Those bus rides are going to run you about 10 hours on average. They do offer an overnight bus, so you can sleep if you want to. Another option is that you can fly, and that is what we did. We came from Istanbul. It was about hour and 15-minute non-stop flight. Now, when you come here, you are going to have the option of 2 different airports to fly into. Both work fine, and you can get a shuttle from either one of them.
Now, we came into Nishir Airport and we booked a shuttle through our hotel accommodations. Now, it is a shared shuttle, so there will be other people on that minivan with you, but it's only $11, which we thought was a really good deal. It's about a 45-minute trip, which it seemed a lot shorter because we got to see this fantastic terrain just coming right off the airport.
Now, there is a couple other options that you can do. That is just the easiest one. You can take a taxi. Like we said, it's 45 minutes. It's going to be a little costly to do that, but at least it's private. The other option is there is a local bus that you can take. We're not sure on the cost on that, but honestly, those have been really affordable. The downside of that is it's going to bring you into the main central town of Göreme, and you are going to need to then get transportation if you're not staying there to the town you're staying in.
Now, the number one thing to do while in Cappadocia is the hot air balloons. Now, we're not going to go up in the hot air balloons, but to view the hot air balloons, you only have to get up about 5:30, 6 o'clock, just before sunrise, about 30 minutes before sunrise. Watch these majestic balloons all over the sky. Now, they're up in the air for about an hour to an hour and a half, so you don't have to get up that early, but you want to see them lift off. It's amazing to see, and you get a few different vantage points all over the valley.
So either way, if you choose to go up in the hot air balloon or you choose to watch it from the ground, make sure and make your way up to one of the awesome lookout points, because you are going to be able to see all over the valley and get a view of all the balloons that are up in the air, because it's quite expansive. The other thing to note if you are coming here is that the hot air balloons only go up in perfect conditions. So the slightest amount of wind and they are not going to go up that day. Now, this can really cause a problem if you've only allowed a few days here. The other thing is that when they do cancel one of the flights, they then rebook for the next day and the prices keep going up. So as an example, we have been here now for a while, and the last 2 days they did not have hot air balloons. So tomorrow, if they go up, the price went way up. So now, what is the best time of year to come to Cappadocia? You want to come during the spring and fall months, like a lot of areas that you're going to travel to, but for a good reason here, because in the summertime it gets extremely hot and in the wintertime it gets really cold. Now, September and October are the busiest months here, so kind of keep that in mind when you're coming. But I will say that we are here during October, and if this is busy, it's really not that bad.
Now, Uchisar Castle is a definite place that you want to go for sunrise to see the balloons, or for sunset. It's right there. You can see it in the background. It's an incredible viewpoint. It's a must. If you do nothing else, try and get up there.
Thank you. So it is quite the hike to get up here, but totally worth it for the views that you get up over here. It's probably the best view over Cappadocia. Now it's 120 lira to get in, but totally worth it.
Totally worth it. They open at 6 a.m. so you can get up here and look at the balloons. Now, we didn't do that when we saw the balloons because we didn't know they were open. Now we know. We might come back up for sunset tonight because, you know, I'm a bit of a romance. One other note to make is there are railings all around, so if you're afraid of heights, you're secure.
So Brian is safe up here.
You're good to go. Yeah.
Not noting all the little holes all around that you could fall into.
Be careful. I mean, yeah, to me it's more like we gotta go find where the stuff's at. Right now we're just climbing around like little kids in a playground. Now make sure you save some money when you come out for the day for some beers up on this hillside because they're double the price as they are in town, but it's worth it. You get to sit, drink your beverage, and look at this beautiful view. If you get here early in the morning, this is also a great place to watch the balloons and drink some coffee. A lot of cafes.
Now, if hiking is something you enjoy doing, Cappadocia has a lot of that. The nice thing about being right in the center area here is it's also very easily accessible.
Yeah, you don't have to go very far to find a trailhead. Get on that trail and start walking. Just make sure you know how to get back.
Now, two of the main and popular places that you want to go is to Pigeon Valley and then also to Love Valley. Pigeon Valley is named after the thousands of pigeon houses that are carved into the rocks. Now, this was a fantastic hike to do. You can access it from two different locations. You can come in from Uchisar or you can come in from Goreme. It is 4 kilometers to one side, and you can do from either side and then just catch a bus to get back to your location. Or you can hike it both ways if you want to.
Now what?
Well, that way you had to go down a steep hill again, so take the least resistance.
It's not very well marked, I will say that.
It's not very well marked. What? We have just come to another ledge. It's just not up. There's a trail down there.
The trail's right there. How do we get to it?
So in true Brian and Carrie fashion, we just take what looks like an open trail, but it wasn't. It is a trail, but it wasn't an easy one to come down. You were sliding and everything. When we got down here to the bottom, or down towards the bottom, there is a sign right here that looks like a little more clear defined path, which is what we're going to take on the way back, which we advise you to do as well.
I don't think there's a pub down here, but it is getting to be too thirsty. The last time I said, I think there's probably a pub around here somewhere, I was kidding, and there actually was. So if I keep saying it, it may happen, but kind of thinking it's not going to. I feel like we're in somebody's backyard.
Well, there was a sign. Okay. So the entrance that we are seeing, and we did just pass other people and we are following the sign now, honestly looks like you are entering into somebody's backyard, but just do it. It is the way to go, and it was a much easier hike than the first one we took. Yeah, here's the sign.
We found a real trail. And it's just past 2:30, so we're also going to find a real pub real soon.
This one's much nicer. Look at that trail. A beer with a view. Can't beat this view, honestly.
We were at the mountaintop this morning. We're on the valley floor this afternoon, and we're drinking to our conquest. Now, another hike you can go on is through Love Valley. Now this valley is about 1.5 miles out of the main city of Jeremy. This is an interesting valley. It's got really cool rock formations. Volcanoes, wind, erosion over the years have made these rock formations look a lot like asparagus, is what I'm going with. You use your imagination and decide whatever you want to think they look like, but to me, it's asparagus.
Now, getting to Love Valley from Goreme is not a bad walk. I originally thought when we were looking at the map, they have you on a main road. So I'm thinking we're gonna be walking on the road, but they actually have a walkway, a really nice paved walkway, almost the entire way, and then you're gonna turn off onto the side road. So to get down to this lower area, where you're actually walking on the trail, you're going to want to take a left at the sign. So we've got a video of that we're showing you right now, but well worth coming out and seeing. It's very cool and very pretty.
So they call this Lover's Valley? I don't get it.
Now, when you are coming here, you have a couple options actually. So you can hike like we are doing and how we explained for you to get here. You'll take that left at the sign. If you want to just get the overlook and not actually hike in, you can stay on the road and then go up to the lookout, which is just kind of right up here. And that is kind of where the tour bus is. If you are taking a tour that's coming here, that's where they're going to take you.
Now, if you want to get down into the valley like we are, you don't just want to get to the overview to look over everything, you can do horseback riding, which actually looks pretty interesting to me. I wouldn't do it, but it's cool for other people. And you can also take a cab into the middle. Now, we read you're not supposed to, but they'll come and pick you up. We saw another couple that was here. They walked in, called a cab came and picked them up and took them out. So that's also an option. We think it's better to get down into it and to look up at this valley. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, we've mentioned getting up in the morning, going and watching the balloons, getting the sunrise. You can do that for free. You can do it for a minimal cost of maybe 30 cents to hit a trailhead. You can also go on excursions. Now there's horseback riding. There's also ATVs that you can get on and do large group settings. You can do that for sunrise and you can do it for sunset. Now I'm more of a romance, so I don't like large group settings when it comes to sunsets and sunrises. I like for it to just be Carrie and I.
And any of you that know us and watched us for a while, romance, nah, it doesn't happen. Now getting around Cappadocia, there is a city bus that runs and the central point is Carrie. And so if you stay in one of the outlying towns, you are going to have to take that bus to get into the center. It runs about 88 cents per person one way, so really affordable. They run every 30 minutes. So I would say that transportation choice is actually really easy. Of course, there are taxis as well if you want to use a taxi. At any hotel that you're staying at, they will arrange a taxi for you, or you can find one out on the road. There is an Uber, so kind of keep that in mind. But I would say that getting around the area is really easy to do. Now, a must-see while you are here is you need to go to one of the open-air museums. There are two of them here. One of them is Carrie, the other is Zelv. Now, Carrie you can get to by walking if you're staying right in the city center. Now, the main difference between these two open-air museums is that in Carrie you are going to see frescoes. But the other big difference that we found is the price. So it is $17 to get into that open-air museum. Now, the advantage being that you can walk there.
Yeah, and we went to Zelv. The only way to get to that one is by car, or if you're on some kind of a tour, which we did. Now that cost $10 to get into, and I would say that was the highlight of the tour itself.
Absolutely.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
We got to see ancient churches, museum. It was just, the rock formations are amazing.
Yeah.
It's a must-see. Highly recommend taking the tour.
Yeah, and you know, honestly, if you had the opportunity to get out there in a way where you were taking maybe a taxi and didn't have a time frame, we probably could have spent a little bit more time. There are a lot of areas to see, and one of the advantages that I did hear in the difference between going to Carrie and going to Zelv is in Zelv you kind of get a little more freedom to just go walk and wander to your pleasure. You can just kind of go see
everything. A lunch, take a bottle of wine.
Where I think at the other one, doesn't happen. So at the open air museum that we are at, it is so cool. You just walk around and there's all these fairy chimneys here. They were actually lived in until the 1950s. And then in 1952, there was a mandatory evacuation because they started to kind of disintegrate, and so they weren't safe to live in anymore. Now, one thing that I will very much highly suggest is be sure that you are wearing comfortable clothes, and then also shoes that you can get up into these places, because it's like a sandy, rocky, and you're gonna slide. So anyways, make sure you're wearing appropriate footwear. This area, if you have mobility issues, may be an issue because it is a lot of stairs.
Okay, millions and millions of years of erosion. This place is really neat. Now, you can see where the water comes down through this gully here and just washed this whole thing out. You know, our tour guide explains it much better than I do, but I was paying attention, and these little chimneys, they wear off over time and eventually they'll all fall over. But in the meantime, the ones behind them will be doing the same thing. So these things will never go away. They'll be here for millions of years.
Now, if you have the opportunity to come and it is blue skies, absolutely the best time to see these, because you can just see how they pop. If you had that gray sky behind it, they're just not going to be as spectacular as they are right now.
Now, there is one section that they do not allow us to venture into because it's dangerous, But the rest of us you can get to, including a church where they would not let us film, and a little winery. And the interesting thing I found about the winery is they built these pigeon holes for the pigeons so they could create fertilizer, if you know what I mean. And they used their pigeon poop to fertilize the vineyards, and they had great wine apparently. Now this is a city of people. There's the Muslim side and the Christian side. The Christian church we couldn't show you the inside of. The Muslim side has a mosque, and it's equally as beautiful as the other side of the valley. But if you get a chance to come and see this, do it. It's fantastic.
Now the cave houses that you see everywhere that you are in this area are so cool to look at, and a little bit of history on them. They were actually lived in until 1980, here in Greme at least, and then at that point tourism started picking up and they decided that they were going to make more money by going ahead and renting them out. So they turned into rentals or hotels, and so now that's kind of what you're seeing around.
Yeah, brilliant. You rent out my cave, I'll take that money and I'll go build a house, is what they did.
Yeah.
And that's entrepreneurship at its finest.
Yeah.
But anyway, they turn these into hotels, and they're all over the place. They're dotted all over the cliffside. I don't know which one is best because they all look pretty amazing.
You know, you think you see the best one, and then you keep walking, and then we see another one. It's like, no, I want to stay there.
That's the best one. Yeah, that's the best one. Some have them swimming pools, some of them don't. So if you're into swimming and if you have kids, that might also be an option.
Yeah, so definitely make sure while you are here to just allow that extra time as well to just wander and explore, because there's a lot of cool things to see.
Yeah, now our place is nice, we really like it, but this place, it looks even better. Now how long do we recommend you staying here? We're staying for a week and a half, and there's already been 3 days now where they have not flown the balloons. We got to see them because we've been here for a while, so I'd at least leave yourself 3 to 4 days just to make sure you get to see those hot air balloons. There are many tour options you can go on. You can book those tours through your hotel, or you can go right to the travel agencies here in town. There's a lot of them. Now there's two main different tours, the red and the green, and they cover different regions of the area. You can also do what we did, and that's kind of a highlight tour where they take you to the hot spots or the spots that get toured the most. Now that cost us each $53 just to go on the tour, which included your transportation and the guide, the information itself. You do have to pay extra to get into each of these locations. You also have to pay for lunch if you want to eat. So the grand total for each of us came to $75. We felt like it was a good value because we wouldn't have otherwise gotten to these places if we had taken the tour. The food options are plentiful. Obviously you can get Turkish food here in Turkey, but there's also Italian food, there's Mexican food, there's Chinese food. We have found pasta, pizza, anything you can think of, so that won't be a problem. Here's a pro tip for you. Make sure your hotel has breakfast included in the price. That will most likely be a Turkish breakfast, and you'll get a variety of different things to eat. That's what we did. We tend to eat a big breakfast, light lunch, light dinner, save a little bit of money. We have found the pricing to be about double what we were spending in Istanbul. So keep that in mind as well.
Now there are numerous underground cities here that you want to make it your way to one of them. The one we went to was a bit smaller than some of the others. It was included in our tour. And one thing we found is it was pretty small spaces. They're very narrow little tunnels that you have to go through. They're one way, so if other people are coming out of that area, you then have to back up in these small little spaces. So if you are claustrophobic at all, it might be an issue, or if you have mobility issues, it would really be an issue because they weren't easy to get into. But it is very fascinating how these underground cities worked. They were situated above, or the houses were above the underground city. And so if there was, they were really only used during time of war. So if there was any event going on where they felt that they were unsafe, they could just go down from their house and go down inside this underground city and be safe. Probably put some candles in there for lighting. Otherwise I wouldn't see anything. If they didn't have this.
Another point of interest, which was also included on our tour, was Imagination Valley. Now, we'd heard a lot about this, we'd read a lot about it before we got there. We were a bit underwhelmed. You have to use your imagination. Now, I saw a camel, but some of the other things they were pointing out, man, I was squinting and I was trying to see it, and some of them were reach. Now, you can go for hikes through that valley, and you may see a lot more interesting stuff than we were able to see on the tour. So if you have the means, you have a car, it might be more what you might expect it to be, other than what we got to see throughout the tour.
One of the big questions that is often asked, I know we ask ourselves at each time that we're going to a new location, is where should you stay? Now there are so many different little towns around here that you can stay that are really honestly quite close to the center. The two that we chose to stay in is Uchisar and Göreme. Now in Uchisar, we had the nicest hotel.
Yeah, the owner was
he was so
fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
He was great, super friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend, if you're staying here for any more than 3 or 4 days, stay in each location.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great time up there. That's where the castle is at, where you walk out and you see the view, looking down on the balloons at sunrise. Right. But it's a little less touristy, a little less expensive, I would say.
It may be a little bit less expensive. The one downside I would say to that area is it is less touristy, so it's a lot quieter, yes. And there are less restaurant options. There was still plenty for us for the few days that we were there, but you're not going to have that wide variety of choice. But that area was so pretty. In every area that you went to, you had this really beautiful overlook. This is also the area where you overlook over Pigeon Valley.
Right.
And so that was a great entry point for us, and so we did do that hike.
Then we came down here,
mm-hmm.
and we stayed where we're currently staying, whose owner is equally as friendly.
Yes, great.
Very, very friendly people.
Very nice, yeah. And we were actually staying in a cave hotel down here. The upper one we were in, not a cave hotel. It still kind of had that feel and appearance, but this is a true cave right behind us. Now, when you get into these cave hotels, one thing about them is that they are typically quite dark. We picked the one that we were in because of that big window right there, and it was overlooking onto this patio area.
Yeah. Now, bonus tip.
Yes.
Beers here do cost $6 to $7 because there's a lot of really nice rooftop bars.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself a hotel that's got a rooftop.
Mm-hmm.
Go down to the store, buy yourself beers
mm-hmm.
for about $1.80.
Yeah.
Sit out on your patio and drink the beer there.
Yeah, we actually saw a sign today and we could get 4 of these, and these are the big beers, for the same price as 1 beer for a place with a view. Now we actually have a great view right here on our patio. It's quiet, you're set away from the traffic, so we have been enjoying this a lot. So I think that's a great pro tip.
That's a great pro tip. That's the second pro tip of the video. We are actually going to cheers this video out.
We are going to cheers it out. All right,
cheers. Now if you go on a tour, that price gets you into another open air museum later on in the tour, which I'd also highly recommend going to. That's wrong, so Carrie's gonna make me do it all over again.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
What the hell are you talking about?
Okay.